All right. Page 31, Chumash Ravi. Pasuk Lamites. If your brother who is with you becomes poor and is sold to you as a servant, you shall not have him work servile labor for you. Servile? Servile labor. All right. Rashi, no Rashi on this page, next page. Lamites. Rashi 32 on 32. Avodas Eved, servile labor. Avodah Shognai Sheikh Nikar Bo Eved. This, what does it mean? What type of labor can't you have? The guy you're paying him. You're paying his room and board and giving him a salary. What type of labor can he do? You can't do labor that a slave does to a master, degrading labor, such as carrying your gym bag behind you and putting on your shoes. Like a king has people do this for him. You're not a king of this guy. Mem as a resident hired worker, he will be with you until the Jubilee year. Rashi, you can't treat him like a degraded slave, rather like a resident hired worker, meaning when you employ him, basically you employ him for a occupation in your estate, right? Whether it's land or whether it's a craft, like any other else you would pay a wage. The fact that he's become an indentured servant, I think the word is, right? It's like I'm in poor, room and board and whatever, and a small salary, and I'll work for you whatever you want.
You're an employee. Yeah.
What's an indentured servant?
Someone who's working for you to pay back a debt.
So that's what it is. It's indentured servant.
Yep, perfect word.
So, but even so, don't treat him badly.
Can't
Treat him like an employee.
Gotta treat him
right, rather like an employee. Right, exactly.
Even better.
Until the Jubilee year. Basically, if we know elsewhere, the indentured servant works up to 6 years max. But let's say Yovel, the Jubilee cycle, hits year 3. He goes out as well. Okay, Mem Aleph Yotzami Machu Vanavimoi. He will then leave with you. He will then leave you, both he and his sons with him, V'shav Mishpachta, and return to his family, and he returned to his ancestors' status. Let's see, Rashi. Hu Vanavimoi, both he and his sons with you. Where the guy sold himself as an indentured servant. Where do we talk about selling his sons? Rather, we learn here that all the while the guy is an indentured servant for the employer. That arrangement requires the employer to pay his family's welfare, food needs.
So when you compensate him, you've got to take into account
the family. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And to the inherited property of his fathers. What it means is the property means the dignified status. You don't hold him, you lowly indentured servant of last year. He goes back to being a regular guy who stands on his 2 feet. Achuzas therefore means cheskas, means status. It's a good word, status or cheskas. Chazaka. Yeah. Okay, Ben Beis.
Like a holding. It's also.
Yeah, chazaka is a
3 years
precedent, a established precedent. Is a chazaka. So they're all probably related somehow. I'm not sure. Okay, moving on. Membez for the children of Israel. Why do you have to treat them so good? You're paying him a ton of money to be an indentured servant. Why do you have to treat them so nicely? Because they're my servants, says God. I took them out of Egypt. They can never be sold in the same way as slaves. Even when the economics necessitate to basically him to become a full-time, a servant of you, it can never be in the way of a slave. You don't own him. You might have rights to you might have bought the rights to his labor, but you don't own him. You can't treat him like you own him. Kiavadehem, says Rashi, Shtari Koidem, my document precedes your arrangement of ownership. Lo yimachar mikras eved, So what does it mean here? You can't sell them the way you sell a slave with the slave block. You can't do pronouncing there. Here is a slave for sale, servant for sale. Got to do more discreetly. Nor may one stand them on the auction stone. Evan alekach. Mem gimel. Continuing. Lo yisir debei farach. Do not subject him to oppressive labor. V'yareis melkecha, and you should be afraid of God. Rashi. Lo yisir debei farach. Malach shlo yitzerach tila anoisei al temer lei hachim es ekesezeh v'yitzerach. So farach, what's it before? Servile labor was just degrading labor. You need it. You need something to put your shoes on, or whatever, to carry your gym clothes. But let's say let's say you're a dainty. I don't know. The point is, it's still degrading to make someone do that. Here we're saying, don't make him do futile labor. For example, you're bored. Go fill up a hole, dig a hole, and fill it up. Right? That's futile labor. And maybe you're going to tell yourself, Shema Tomar, you're going to say, no one knows if this matter is necessary or not. I will tell him that it is necessary. For it is a matter that's left to the master's conscience. Ultimately, here's the thing. There's a lot of gray here. Who's going to know if something is really, you need it, or you're just keeping him busy work? Right? You tell him, go weed the rose bushes again. Maybe it's needed. You fear God because God knows what you're thinking. However, your servant or maidservant who is with you, so however, that's a Jewish servant. But a maidservant who you acquire from the non-Jewish nations around you, then you could buy at that time what was considered classic slaves and maidservants. Your servant or maidservant who may be yours. So he's saying, you're making me have all this labor law for my Hebrew servant. Who's going to do the harder work? So God says that and also I can't. Usually when you conquer a land, you get to keep the people as slaves. But the 7 nations that they conquered, the Canaanite nations, they weren't allowed to live. They had to wipe them. They had to get rid of them if they were going to battle with them. They could make peace if they want, but if they went to battle, they had to fight to the death. So who's going to do the hard, heavy lifting? She says, the nations around the perimeter of Israel, they could be servants, classical servant slaves to you. Even they're not classical. Servants of, because slave is a different, even slaves have rights. That are around your land, hard labor, but not those that are within the boundaries of your land, because I said those you cannot let any live, you have to fight to the death. Okay. Next, you may also buy as servants the sons of the settlers, with them and their families who are with you. That they will be yours as a permanent possession.
Settlers living with you.
Well, who's it talking about? The settlers. This refers to men from, let's say, China or wherever, from Iraq, who came to marry the Canaanite women that were living in Israel, and they had children. The son of such a union follows the father nationality and does not include the prohibition of wipe them out. They're allowed to stay. So of those non-Jews who are kind of like immigrants from the father's side, you can acquire as a servant. Tiknu means oisam, those you should buy. All right, Memvav. You shall hold them as a heritable possession for your children after you, to inherit them. Permanently, you shall enslave them. hold them as an inheritance for your sons after you to inherit them as part of the estate permanently, and permanently they shall serve you. But your brethren, the children of Israel, man to his brother, you should not treat them as for the hard labor. Rashi, hold them as a heritable possession for your children after you. Doesn't mean give them inheritance. Just means hold them as inheritance, so they get part of the estate. You can't bequeath them, because it wasn't bequeath them because there would have been different tense. Hinchaltem. His nechaltem is reflexive. It's reflexive. You can't. There's what do you call it? Active, not active. Mafil is you make the action of something else. So if I make inherit, I bequeath, that would bring the word hinchaltem. His nechaltem is not reflexive. So it means hold on to them as inheritance for them to keep. It says chazaktim, you shall be his courageous, you shall take. I don't know. I think that's the wrong. I don't know if that's the right translation. It's called intransitive. Okay. Anyways, ish b'achiv, one to another. It comes to include a leader with respect to his people and a king to the subjects. They must not subject them to oppressive work. So it's interesting. There's actually this extra term referring to the leader of the people can't make the people to be slaves to him, serfs.
Where is that? Where are you inferring that from?
Which one?
You just said.
Ish b'achiv, one to another. It was stated already in verse 43. Why repeating it? So it says, we said ish b'achiv can't do it. I didn't say ish b'achiv, but it said
Baferach is oppressive work. Baferach.
We said earlier in 43, don't means oppressive, futile labor. That was we said in 43. Okay. Why is repeating it? It's saying in the king also can't treat the people like that. Not just the individual, his slave, his indentured servant, but the Jewish king to the Jewish subjects can't treat them like that.
You must not subject one another to oppressive work, right?
Right, but here
so even it doesn't apply just to slaves; it applies to people within the society who
are made leaders,
king or an elite,
right?
Or whatever.
Right. It's interesting because it's interesting. It seems repetitive. Look, uvachechem b'nei Yisrael, amongst your brethren, the children of Israel. Ish b'achiv. Like, what is
that's it's not limited to
no. I'm saying the peculiarity is why are you saying that? You just said amongst your brethren, man to his brother. Amongst his brethren. Why you say man to his brother? You just said amongst the brethren. So that's a Rashi, because a lot of the Rebbe would point out the Rashi's headline is also very specific. So because the way they're translating it's the double language of Leisid by Farach is making it the don't do avodas perech, don't do the perech. That's repetitious. But so Rashi didn't say that. Rashi's headline is Ish B'achiv. The headline is also very deliberate. Why did Rashi bring the thing one to another, Ish B'achiv, as the clue that's bothering him? Seemingly it's like Siddur B'Farach. It's the repetitious of the same phrase. We said 5 phases. Yeah. Why does he not bring it? You understand?
Yeah.
So I'm just and the way they make it in 112, they're not doing it justice. It was stated above about B'Farach. I think here it's the point of
stated in the context of slavery.
No, but I'm saying it's the headline, the Ish B'achiv that it picks to be the headline of it. That's Rashi picks headlines that are give you a clue to his question. That Rashi will tell you what's bothering him. He puts the headline on time and says, "This is the word this is the phrase or word you might have a problem with." Understand? So what's the problem with Ish B'achiv? What's the problem with Ish B'achiv? You just said a second ago, V'achechem b'nei Yisrael. He said amongst your brethren. Amongst your brethren, man to his brother. So who's the man to his brother? It means the king. Okay.
Oh, I see.
That's what I'm saying. It's in the context of the It's my guess, just knowing a little bit the way the Rebbe translates.
Oh, I see. Because the previous in 43, it was not limited to slaves. It was, I was, okay.
But interesting, just to note, the Minchas Chinuch is a classic text. It's a commentary on the Sefer HaChinuch, which the Sefer HaChinuch we've talked about is I don't know who I'm not sure who it was the Aaron of Barcelona. I'm not sure who the author is, but it's a short thing on every mitzvah, what the meaning, why we do that mitzvah to some degree. So there's a commentary called the Minchas Chinuch that comments on that, and the Minchas Chinuch, he says today it's correct behavior not to subject even workers who are not Jewish, even non-Jewish servants, to not treat them with oppressive labor.
That's a commentary on which word?
That's a comment on footnote 113, the last two lines. See Minchas Chinuch Mitzvah 346, who writes that nowadays it's correct behavior not to subject even workers who are not Ivri servants to oppressive work. Very interesting. Okay. Mem Zayin v'chisas gad ger v'seish v'imach. And when a foreigner who's a settler among you becomes prosperous, umach achicha imach, and your brother, and this guy's not Jewish, the foreigner is not Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
He's a monotheist, but he's not Jewish. And your brother, your fellow Jew, becomes poor. The nimkar leger teishemach, and he becomes sold to this foreign settler among you. Or le'eker mishpachas ger, or to work for the fundamental idol worship of the foreigner's family. That's interesting. Let's see this. So Mem Zayin, Yad Ger V'Teshav, Ger V'Teshav. Who's a Ger Teshav? It's English translated Oriel Teshav, a uncircumcised settler. And the end of the verse proves this. He's sold to this foreign settler. So it means a guy, a Ger Toshav is someone who basically accepts the 7 Noahide laws and lives amongst you. But he's not Jewish. He becomes prosperous. And when he becomes prosperous with you. So Rashi, why are you telling us this? Says Rashi, what made him become prosperous? Because he hung out with you. He was with the Jewish people. Jews. He was upgrading his monotheism, and he's blessed because of it.
Jews.
Those Rothschilds, and your brother becomes poor with him. Migaram lo shiyamach. Who caused him to become poor? His attachment to him, in that he learned from his deeds. So why the imoy, the non-Jew became wealthy because he hung out with the Jews. The Jew became poor because he hung out with them.
Right.
With the
really seems like we're really dumping on our neighbors here.
We're treating them as fifth column. Just saying.
Like, well, the 21st century Jew doesn't
quite human, just barely human.
Remember, we're the 21st century Jew.
No, we're saying. Well, think about it. There was always a myth of Jews had money throughout the medieval ages, right? The Jews were just as poor as anybody else. The thing is, because of the Jewish values of charity and welfare institutions, even the poorest Jew was taken care of. Comparing that in the 1100s, in medieval Europe, you were poor, you usually died in the street, So there's this the Jews all have money. No, we just because the values we take care of even the poor. So their values, right? Values make you have a better life, like prosperous. It's not crazy to say that. So a pagan that says, I don't want to be pagan. I want to, live adjacent to the Jews and have some of their basic values. They're going to have a better life. They're going to have a more prosperous life. Contrast with the Jew who's interested in what's on the outside. For the pagans, he's going to have bad values and have a poor life sometimes. Mishpachas Ger, the foreigner's family. So this refers to a non-Jew himself. when it says le'aker, it means the Aker means, I guess, a deity. Aker is means idol, an idol. So we're saying you're sold to work in the pagan temple, to be the janitor, as an example, to hew wood and draw water for, not to serve it. You're sold to be it's a very, like, for example, someone who joins a cult, right? And they lose no money. So they basically, they can sell their service to, do the chop the wood and draw water for the ashram, Anyways, Namches. After he has been sold, he shall immediately redemption. One of his brothers shall redeem him. Rashi, he shall redemption immediately. Do not let him become assimilated among the heathens. Just because he's did a stupid thing, he joined the cult and he became sold into slavery because of it. You don't let him stay there. You have to buy him. You have to buy him back. Your Jewish brother. Or either his uncle or his cousin should redeem him, or other relatives, from his family, should redeem him. Or he, let's say, gets money somehow, he should then become redeemed himself. Nun.
That's a big welfare system.
Nun. He shall reckon with his buyer from the year that he was sold to him until the Jubilee year, and the original sale price should be divided up according to the number of years for which he was sold. So he's basically, when a Jew sells himself into slavery to a non-Jew, it's only in the context of I'm leasing myself till the Jubilee year. But I mean, I'm not selling you forever. Now, my question is like,
well, this shortens that to 0. I mean, he's ordered to be redeemed right away.
You have to pay. You have to pay for the years left.
Somebody's paying.
Yeah. But he's paying. What are you paying? How much are you paying? You're paying. You're assuming, or you're enforcing, if you have control, that the way that the type of sale it was not a typical slave forever sale. It was a lease of self till Jubilee, and that means every year is 1% of the payment.
Right.
So whatever's left that wasn't done yet, you have to assume. Let's say there's 30 years left. You have to pay whatever the money was divided into 40, whatever it was, and pay up those 30 years. That's the money that has to be paid to buy back the guy's freedom.
Right.
All right. For essentially bought himself on to work for him till the Jubilee year. For the Jubilee year, he goes out, as it says below, he will leave his master into the Jubilee year. This is, of course, talking about Gentiles under your jurisdiction. So it's interesting. There's a Gentile who has an idol under Jewish control.
What?
I thought we're not allowed to let that happen. How does it even happen?
Could be could be made of solid gold.
What are you saying, Rabbi?
Yeah, well, no.
Can you repeat what you said?
Who are we talking about? Who's the non-Jew here? Who's the Jew? The Jew is a poor guy, sells himself to be a slave to the non-Jew. Which non-Jew? So it's a non-Jew, the way we described it, who has an idol. And he's basically hiring the Jew to be his janitor of his idol. Whatever.
That's different.
So now we say we're enforcing to the Gentile that this is not, I don't care what you meant, this is no more than a sale, a lease till Jubilee.
Right.
Wait a second. What is an idol worshiper now?
There in the first place, right?
It can only be when you have jurisdiction over the country.
Right.
So what's an idol worshiper doing here?
Right. So what is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think you're not allowed that to exist under your jurisdiction. So I don't have an answer. Anyways, but let's say it's not an idol. Let's say it's just a non-Jew. I don't know. I have to look it up. I'm sure to look it up. Nevertheless, do not act deceitfully towards him, because of the desecration of the holy name that this may cause. Rather, the Jewish servant comes to be redeemed. He shall be precise in the calculation according to the amount that he due each year. The Gentile should deduct from the total amount. If there were 20 years from the time he was sold until the Jubilee year, and he bought it for 20 mana, for example, mana is it's a coin. The result is that the Gentile bought the work for each year for a mana. If he stays with him for 5 years and now comes to redeem himself, he deducts 5 mana. The servant gives him 15 mana to buy back the remainder of his freedom. This is what's meant. His sale price should be divided up according to the number of years, as if he were a hard worker with him. He shall calculate the amount due for each year as if he were hired to him for each year for a mana, as the example above, and accordingly deduct for him the purchase price. He shall calculate the amount due for each year as if he were hired to him for each year for a mana. Yeah, and then deduct that. Nun Aleph. Make sure I'm not missing any meetings. All right, whatever. There's a lot of years. The Fian Yashiv Gulasim, because, and then according to the amount of years left, he has to repay for his redemption from the money for which he was originally bought until Yovel.
Oh, this is a price control. In other words, if he had a debt of $10 and the guy bought him and he paid off his debt of $10 and now he's indentured to me for 35 years and he's got 35 years left. This is saying you can buy him back for the $10. You don't have to pay the whole 35 years worth. I think that's
Isn't it just if there's
just wondering what they were gonna
easy
do about
math? There's 50 years, $1 a year is $50.
Right.
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 So let's say 25 years is gone. There's 25 years left. There's $25 you got to buy him for.
No,
Okay,
this
yeah.
is an exception to that rule.
So
This is saying if it's a real
I don't know
long
the
period,
term from the money that he originally. I'm not sure that means.
that's got to mean. I'm guessing that's what it means. In other words,
I mean, this is a special case, Rabbi.
you bought him for you paid off his debt, a small debt, and now because he had to sell himself into slavery, he's your slave for another 50 years for a very small debt. And the 50 years is a huge price, too big a price to pay. What this is saying, you get to redeem him for the amount that the owner paid off to buy him.
I'm not sure. I think it's more simple. The simple meaning is that it's just getting the if it's just saying, look, we said it before, it goes by the, let's say it's just 50, let's say there's 20 years, you pay $1 a year, $20.
Right.
You serve 5 years, you owe the guy to buy back your freedom $15. And then Aleph and Beis just says whether it's a lot left, so it's a lot of money,
Right.
because you didn't really work off much of your
Right.
debt, work off your sale. You didn't work off the price that much. 1 year is not much. You got to pay the rest. And then Beis.
That's what I thought.
And if only a few years are left, you worked it off mostly, only have a couple of years left, then you calculate it according to his years, you repay the amount to get his redemption. It seems like it's just going lengthy. I don't know why it's going lengthy here, but whatever.
All right. Okay.
Nun Gimel. He shall be like a yearly hired worker with his master. The master, the non-Jewish master, cannot treat him with oppressive labor if you're aware of it. Rashi. He cannot treat him with oppressive work before your eyes. Claim that you see it. And if this guy, this Jewish slave, sold to a non-Jewish master, does not get redeemed in these ways, he goes out the Jubilee year, he and his sons with him. So actually, this is interesting that a non-Jewish owner, a Jewish slave to a non-Jewish master, does not go after 6 years till Yevel. It's much longer. It's much longer.
Another treaty year of 7, it goes 50.
Yeah. Him, his sons with him. Again, the sons are being supported by the Gentile master whilst their father is being a servant. God says, for the children of Israel are my servants. They are to me. They're my servants that I took out. I took out of Egypt. Children of Israel are servants to me. My deed of ownership is earlier.
Really, what this does, this creates a big incentive. Going back to the situation where you have to sell yourself as a slave for a very small debt.
I don't know if it's not really small or big. It's saying whatever it was. Whatever you agreed upon.
What this creates an incentive for the community to pay off his debt before he gets sold.
The next day.
Yeah.
If they can.
And that was the commandment, right?
We got it. It says the relatives. I don't know if it goes to the communal level. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it does.
But it says redeem. They should really pay off the debt before they have to
redeem. A Jew should not work for a non-Jew.
Redeem means pay off. You're redeeming the guy from slavery by repaying.
Hashem doesn't want a Jew.
You're buying back his freedom.
All I'm saying is this system creates an incentive for the community to pay off his debt so that he doesn't have to be sold.
Oh, you're saying before that.
Because
we say there's charity, there's welfare institutions like that shouldn't come to this. Yeah,
it shouldn't come to that. Right.
I don't know if it's incentive. I mean, is it like a way to force good behavior in the community? I don't know. I'm saying the reality is you're forced to all these steps. You're forced to have tzedakah. You're forced to have communal welfare. You're forced to have it. And if with all that, the worst case happens, the guy sells himself as a slave to a non-Jew,
then you got to redeem.
You still got to take care of it.
Right. So to avoid that cost, you should.
I don't know if it's to avoid that.
Pay off the debt right away, and then.
No, I don't know. All you're saying is interesting. Saying it's a matter of just you can't allow this to exist. You can't allow this to exist. I was incentivized paying. You can't. It's not incentivizing. It's just you can't do it.
It's not inconsistent with what you're.
Okay, fine, good. My ownership is first as God. I am God. Whoever enslaves them below is as if they're enslaving me them above, which means,
whoa.
You're enslaving the servant of the king. The servant of the king is representative of the king. So if you take the king's, right-hand man, you enslave him, it's like you're enslaving the king, in a sense. Okay, fine. Perechavav. You must not make yourself idle. Set up a sculpture or statue for yourself, or stone flooring. Give your land stone flooring to bow down on. The shtach was led to bow down on it. Rashi, I'm sorry, Aleph, page 39. You must not make for yourself idols. These commandments are repeated here. We know this already. With reference to one who was sold to a Gentile, so that he may not say, let's say no one could bail him out. He doesn't have any relatives, no money to bail him out of his. He's sold to a non-Jew who's an idol worshiper. We tell this Jew, you do not have a right to say, since I'm sold, I'm like Joseph, I'm sold to this, Potiphar. My master's immoral, I'll act like him. What should I do? Say master serves idols, I'll act like him. My master that's great shops, I'll act like him. Therefore, that has to end off. Even the case we said, the Jew is sold to a non-Jewish pagan master, you never have an excuse. The community tries to bail him out if they can, but you still have obligation yourself to not, lose your Jewish identity. Similarly, all these above sections are also stated in order of possible occurrence. At first, the Torah warns about the 7th year. So this is interesting. So if you look at the whole parsha, it's actually a series of slippery slope, as Gary likes to say. At first, the Torah warns about the 7th year. person has a lust for money and he's thus suspect of keeping the 7th year, right? If you don't listen to God and not keep the Shemitah, then you're going to have to, you'll go into poverty. You have to sell your movable belongings. Therefore, juxtaposes when you sell something. What is written in that verse? Or buy from the hand, something acquired from hand to hand. If you don't repair, you don't do teshuvah, you don't repair your actions, and you're still not keeping the Shemitah, you'll eventually need to sell your inherited property. Verse 25. If he still does not repair his actions, do teshuvah, he'll have to sell his house. Verse 29. If he doesn't repair his actions, he'll eventually come to borrow on interest. Verse 36. Every later situation is worse than the one before. And if he doesn't repair his actions, he'll have to sell himself. And if he doesn't repair his actions, then he'll have to not just sell himself to a Jew, but have to sell himself to a Gentile. Pretty nice way of weaving it all together.
Boy.
Evan maskis, or stone flooring. Maskis is a term of covering, as it says, "I'll spread my protection." It means a ground laden with stones. L'shtach v'saleh, to prostrate to it, even to God. Meaning you can't even have a marble stone floor to bow down in your shul. Let's say they bow down, even to God, because prostration is done by spreading one's hands and feet on the ground. And the Torah forbids that outside of the temple. Is the only place you have a stone floor that you bow down on to God. That's why on Yom Kippur we bow down. We either do it on carpet, or some people if they don't have a carpet, it's a stone floor. They put a mat.
Yeah, but this is a linoleum floor.
Right. So I don't think it's an issue.
So you
Right.
don't do it on stone, is that it?
If you were in a stone floor, you should not bow down Yom Kippur.
Except in the temple.
Except in the temple,
Right.
you would do that, yes.
Only place.
Because there it's considered
Holy stone.
also
It's
God-centric.
originated.
No one's gonna the sanctity and the atmosphere of God's temple is so different than idols. No one would come to, hey, I like bowing in the temple. I think I'll bow down at home.
And here's a raya. Here's a proof, because the cheruvim, right?
Keruvim.
Sorry. God said to put him on the Aron, and when the goys came in, they said, "Oh, they have idols too."
Right.
No.
Right.
So it's the same kind of thing.
Anyways, Ani Hashem, the Torah forbids outside the temple. Beis es Shabbosai tishmeru. You shall keep my Shabbases, umikdashi tirau, and my temple you shall have reverence for. Ani Hashem, I am Hashem. Rashi and Hashem, I am trustworthy to pay reward. As Rashi many times when it ends off with that statement, that even if it's hard, I am God to repay you for this. All right, Parak, continue on because a little more. Next parsha. If you pursue my statutes, study. Okay, literally means if you go in my ways, in my decrees. Best mitzvahs tishmaru, and my mitzvahs you keep. And do them. Rashi. If you pursue my chukim, my statutes. I might think this refers to the practice of the commandments. However, when he says, and keep my commandments and do them, the practice of commandments is already mentioned. Yeah. When he says, my mitzvahs you shall keep and do them, harakim mitzvahs amur, the practice of commandments is already mentioned. What then do I explain? If you pursue my statutes, you shall toil in the study of the Torah. So it doesn't mean mitzvahs. We say that in a minute. It's talking about studying Torah. As mitzvahs tishmeru, you keep my commandments. You should study the Torah in a way that you want to implement it to do the mitzvahs of it. It says you should study them and guard them to do them. You know what he's saying?
Is this the origin of the study commandment? Right
No,
there?
no.
No?
Vishinantam in Shemaz.
Ah, okay.
Um,
Teach implies.
Here it's not saying a command. It's saying if you do, then you'll be rewarded. It's not a command.
Okay.
I will give your rains in their time, and the land will yield its produce. And the fruitless trees of the field will give forth their fruit. At a time that is not usual for people to go out, such as Shabbos nights. So you got the rain, it's a beautiful, good time for you when you're at home. Basis of the trees of the field, this is even saying non-fruit bearing trees in the future will bear fruit. It's inferred from this term hasadeh. In verse 20, it speaks about fruit bearing trees called eitz haaretz. Trees of the land is fruit trees.
All trees will be fruited.
Basically, when the Torah is fully implemented, there will be the land of Israel return to its state before the sin of Adam.
So we can say all trees will be fruit?
Yeah. Or the ones that were not, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if all trees will be fruit. I'm not, there's certain trees that had fruits and they were cursed. They lost their fruit. Miraculously, the naturally barren tree of the field give forth the fruit. I don't even see Mashiach. It's saying, I don't know. Hey, the good times. The threshing season will extend for you until the grape harvest. The grape harvest will extend until the sowing season.
That's the main point.
You will eat your food to satisfaction. You will dwell securely in your land. Rashi. The threshing period will be so abundant, you'll be busy with it until it's time to pick the grapes, which is a later time in the year. And the grapes will be so busy till the time of sowing. You'll eat bread to satisfaction, meaning you'll eat a little bit, it'll be blessed in your stomach. It'll be very qualitative and very nourishing. Vav. I will grant you peace in the land. You will go to sleep, and nothing will frighten you. I will eliminate wild beasts in the land. And an army, no armed force will pass through your land. Vav. Asati shalom, I'll grant peace. Maybe you will say there is food. Maybe you'll say there's food and drink, but if there's no peace, there's nothing. So God, the Torah tells you that you gotta like food, drink, abundance is wonderful. But if you don't have peace, it's all you're not gonna enjoy it. Here we learn that peace is equal to everything else, the blessing of peace. As it says, Oise Shalom, Uveris Hakol, we say the blessing God creates peace and makes peace and creates all. Everything is all creation, all blessings of creation is equated to peace. Okay, whatever. Zion, you will pursue your enemies. They'll fall before you by the sword. Before you by the sword. Each man by the sword of his fellow man. Ches, 5, even the weak among you, will pursue 100 enemies. 100 mikam from you will pursue Ravav your day, will chase 10,000. And they will fall your enemies by the sword before you. Rashi 5 to 100, 100 to 10,000. This is not a good. This is not a equal ratio, right? Mm-hmm. A 5 to 100 is 1 to 20, so it shouldn't be 100. Should then be It should be 100 to 2,000, not 10,000.
Right.
This tells you that you can't compare when a small group fulfills the Torah cannot be compared to when many fulfill the Torah. Ooh. Your enemies will fall. Enemies will fall before you in an abnormal way. Miracle. Test, last verse. I will turn my attention towards you. I will make you fruitful. Your basim, I will make you multiply, fruitful multiply. I will form my covenant with you anew. Rashi, I'll turn my attention to you. What does it mean I'll turn my attention? I will free myself, meaning it'll be very apparent that I'm giving you a reward. Parable, what is this compared to? To a king who hired workers. Footnote 152 tells the parable. King hired many workers, but one worker stood out and worked for a long time. All the other workers went to get their wages, and this worker came too. The king told the worker, my son, I'll give you my full attention. These men have done they're like small contractors. Okay, I'm giving them a small wage. But you, wait till me after I have a big account to settle with you. In other words, I'm going to give you a lot of attention to pay you well.
Bonus,
yeah, I don't know if it's a bonus. It's saying I want to pay you properly, and it's going to be a lot because you deserve it. If means I'll make you fruitful, multiply. Basically, I'll make you have an upright stature, well known.
Where are they translating that to men of stature? What wording does that?
154. Look, Hisiravnavos. It's importance of authority.
Which word?
Hisiravnavos. I don't know. They say.
No, I mean, where is it in the text?
Hifresi means I'll make you fruitful. Hirbesi means I will make you upright stature. Last Rashi, Bris Chadasha, I'll give you a new covenant, not like the first one that you neglected, but rather a new one that won't be neglected, won't be, as it says, I will form the house of Israel and the house of Judah a new covenant, not like the new covenant. I don't get it.